It's Yojo June, and here we are with another episode of BestowCast. Let's talk a little bit about action figures. This month they've been announcing a lot of action figures. A lot of new pre-orders have gone out. A lot of new announcements have come out. If I were producing more than once a week, I'd have to almost be producing almost on the daily. So let's just dive into what's been announced so far. So we'll just start with the first of the month. They did four figures, and they did like the worst job ever of keeping it silent. Does it really even need to be keep silent anyway? It's kind of interesting that it's a worldwide brand, and we get spoilers from other countries. I'm not sure where exactly. Like I know I was watching one video just recently, and the guy was on tour in Paris, and he was looking at a lot of like the carded, the retro carded figures, and we don't even have those out in the U.S. So they had Snake Eyes and Snake Eyes in the Crimson Guard, and that's not even out in the U.S. yet, or at least as far as I know. I haven't seen any of my friends chat out about it. I think they did it via Facebook, which it's a thing that drives me just a little bit batty because, they don't, you have to get your information through the fan channels, and Hasbro themselves never say, hey, get ready for this day, get ready for that day. If you're an adult collector and you work, well, too bad. Hopefully you're logging into Facebook or Twitter, or you're logging into Instagram, or whenever they decide they're going to do 5 minutes right beforehand. Two of these that were on here were spoiled a long time ago. They were already been unboxed, like I said, out of country or whatever, which is of course the Target exclusive Tiger Force Dusty, and the Target exclusive Python Patrol Crimson Guard, which is barely crimson. I never really got into the sub-series. I was kind of the mainline series, and I think that just basically boils down to location. Is I don't think we just didn't have the stores that, if it was an exclusive to a specific store, I don't think we really had many of those stores around here. So most of the stuff that I had from my collection were mainline. So it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of a little bit interested in the Python Patrol and Tiger Force. I don't know if I did an episode. I think it might have been 2 months ago. I have to look back. But anyway, they did the announcement thing and the pre-orders that at that time. They must do, I'm going to say it's quarterly, so it's probably like 2 months ago, and we'll probably get another one, 2 months from now, or 3 months from now rather. But yeah, they did, like, they announced like the Night Force line, which is going to come back into play in a little bit, which is the Walmart exclusive. So now we got Walmart exclusive Night Force, and then we got the Cobra equivalent, which is untitled. There's no title, which you think that they would have just titled it. It's supposed to be like equivalent to what Night Force would be, but it's the Cobra version. I'm surprised they just didn't really just give them the Night Force logo. But they had like Big Ben and some of the other Big Ben, and I can't think of the other one. Viper. Viper, no viping. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, they're doing they're rolling out a lot of exclusives. I mean, I guess more power to them, but it's I don't know, it's touch and go with me, because it's like, I prefer like just the main line. I don't mind the because basically everything that's out in the other stores is just basically repaints. But what drives me batty is that a lot of the stuff goes to the repaints first before they come to the main line. So we had like Tiger Force Bazooka and Recondo before we actually had regular Bazooka and Recondo. I don't even think regular Bazooka and Recondo shipped yet. I don't even think I have them in hand. But it's kind of batty where it's like, well, if I'm to miss a few, like so far, again, look back in your crystal balls. I'd love to hear, comment wherever you can comment. Put that comment in there and let me know when I first started talking about this, and just like, I'm just interested in maybe like this character or a character too, but not really the entire line. And compare it to today, where it's like I have like the entire line. I managed to track down the entire line. It's just fun. It's enjoyable. I enjoy it. I have one person in my life that tries to crap on me for doing it, but whatever. It's whatever makes you happy, and if it makes you happy, then fine. And this is what makes me happy, so fine. Drives me a little bit batty when it comes to like these subgroups is that they kind of roll out a character, and then it's like, well, you don't know if that character is ever going to go into the main line. And for me, it's like if I were to miss something, in the line, I'd be okay to miss like some of these subgroups as long as they re-release them into the main group. But it's hard to say if they'll ever do that, or when they do that, they do a really good job, or a decent job, I should say, of they're changing them up so that there's a little bit more to them. Because I think I was looking at what's one of them they were announcing. Firefly, and Firefly is quite different than the other version of Firefly that came out. Now, the other version of Firefly that came out was Cobra Island, which was a Target exclusive, which I think this version of Firefly is the main line. So they do a good enough job changing it up where it's like, all right, well, I'm not buying the same figure over and over and over again. If we're going to talk about nostalgia, like I ordered the regular Dusty. I think I have the regular Dusty because I think he's up on my shelf. So Tiger Force Dusty is whatever. It's just the completionist in me is happy with it. But there's I remember other kids having Dusty. I never had Dusty, so there's not really like the nostalgia of this is something that I had and hold dear to my heart. That would be Mutt and Junkyard whenever that comes out. That's what was like probably my number one favorite, and they announced it, but it hasn't come out. And as far as like the Crimson Guards, I've never had any Crimson Guards, so but I welcome like the different versions of the Crimson Guards. I guess it's a troop builder, whatever. On the same token, because I got to keep this moving because I got to cover a lot of stuff here in this episode. They also did the Trouble Bubble. I can't recall if I ever had a Trouble Bubble. I don't know if I owned a Trouble Bubble. They're iconic. They're iconic from the series. But they put Televipers with the Trouble Bubble, and I never associate Televipers with the Trouble Bubble. I always associate them with communications, but I think that's kind of a similar thing where Breaker came out with the Ram Cycle. So I guess we put our communications people on these things. Whatever. I mean, I guess in the overall thing, it's like, when are you ever going to get Breaker? Is Breaker going to be one of those figures that sell separately? And the same with the Vipers. The Televipers rather, are they going to really sell alone? And I mean, it's kind of sneaky on Hasbro's part anyway, because Televipers are troop builders, so people are going to want to buy multiple versions, and of course they put them with the Trouble Bubble to up that price point. Hopefully they would release like Televipers singly down the line. I mean, it's cool that they gave them alternate heads. So at least if you have two, you have you have a white version and a dark version, a black version, and then you also have a version that has a flight helmet. So I mean, then that's really, really cool. So if you get, I guess they're banking that if you buy at least 3 of them, you will have 3 different heads. So you'll have 3 different Vipers in your party, and I kind of dig that. I kind of like that about the sets. I think that they might be doing that more so moving forward, because I know like what I want to say like the Cobra Trooper and the Cobra Officer is like, one's a white guy and one's a black guy, and it's kind of where I wish they would have alternate heads, because I would be down with having multiple versions of the Vipers with the different I'd have like 2 different troopers and have the heads. I mean, I guess technically you could have the officer and you could have the I guess infantry, and just swap the heads if they're swappable. That's the other thing. I don't know if they are swappable or not. I sidetrack here. I just recently started getting out some of my classified and doing a video. Finally doing some videos. Well, doing some shorts. So, but it started with the retro set, which is a Walmart exclusive. And another thing that I said, I'll just pick up the ones that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in having the entire line. Minus Snake Eyes, I have the entire line. But I started shooting YouTube shorts where I finally I started unpacking them and bringing them out. As I was saying with like the trooper and the officers, I wouldn't mind having multiples of those. I have delusions of grandeur of maybe doing some like photo shoots with this kind of stuff, and wouldn't mind having a couple multiple troopers and just swapping the heads. And then the other thing that they that was up for pre-order is the Arctic Bat. They sneakily snuck the Arctic Bat in the background of the product shots for Snow Job, which I was that Snow Job was a want for me. That was something that was 2 months ago. And, I was super excited. I really like Snow Job, even though he has an unfortunate name. And they snuck in an Arctic Bat into the background. Well, I snuck in 2 Arctic Bats in the background, I believe. And so that was their sneaky way of announcing it. And I'm actually surprised that they have the pre-order for these right away. It's just, they were ready to go. But the bats... Now, here's the thing, is like the Tiger Force Dusty and the Python Crimson Guard is Target exclusive. I think the Televiper might be a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, so you can only get that through their website. And the Arctic Bats are the Amazon / Hasbro Pulse exclusive. But I was super excited to get those, and I'm super excited to grab extra ones. And I'm at, again, this is one of those things that I was saying earlier, where I like where instead of we just slapped white paint on this, we just took a bat and slapped white paint on it and called it a day. They actually gave it a different head. They gave it different weapons. They gave it like a chainsaw hand and everything. And I was really excited about it. I was so excited about it that I actually ordered more than one of those because I the alternate head is just more than because usually they came with like a regular head and a broken head. So the regular head has like the white paint with the mirrored for the faceplate, but then it has a different one where it has like lenses. It's just a totally different look for the bat. And they were saying, oh, they made it like a sniper. They gave it a sniper rifle, which I don't think any of the other bats have anything beyond like pistols. So they gave it a sniper rifle and said, like, explained away where like the other head is like 4K cameras where they can shoot off from far, from a distance and everything. Really into it. Really liked it. So if I were to rank these of top to bottom, with cats being way down there, I would probably be like the Arctic Bat was the thing that I was super hyped for, followed by really close the Televiper with the Trouble Bubble. I was super hyped for, and then I guess Dusty and then the Crimson Guard. I guess this is why they released the exclusives first versus the other way around, because it's like I already have the Crimson Guard and I already have Dusty. It doesn't really matter with the other ones. So I guess Bat, Televiper with the Flight Pod, Dusty, and then we'll go Crimson Guard down a notch. And then the next day they released digital renders. Now they didn't do any pomp and circumstance. They didn't do anything special. They just dropped this on their socials, where they did they dropped Grunt and they dropped a Crimson Crimson Viper. I'm not I wasn't fully aware what a Crimson Viper was. Like I kind of like how I was doing some recent deep dive. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't know any of this about G.I. Joe. I just liked G.I. Joe, and it whatever sandbox play it was is whatever sandbox play it was. So now there's a little bit more to it, and I kind of understand a little bit of like the hierarchy of how the Vipers and the Crimson Guard and the troopers all work. And I was trying to figure out what the hell a Crimson Viper is, because I'm like, well, there's the Crimson Guard, which are supposed to be specialists. Or not, they're not even Vipers are supposed to be specialists, but the Crimson Guards are supposed to be like the upper echelon. They're like the best of the best. And I'm like, what the hell's a Crimson Viper? Where does that go? And at one point I had my self-convinced, well, maybe they're just like ceremonial, like it's just a ceremonial red, because we got Red Cobra Commander, Red Baroness, Red Crimson Twins. Maybe it's just a ceremonial thing. But no, it's they're actually the lowest ranking of the Crimson Guards. Eventually they'll become a Crimson Guard, but that's basically where they start out. And if I have any of my finest friends that are listening, they're probably like, oh, Paul, really You could have asked any of us, and we would have set you straight. And you're babbling on like this, really? Anyway, so it's the Crimson Guard, or sorry, Crimson Viper is one of them. Which, all right, cool, whatever. Troop build, yay, troop building. I still want troopers though. Some more blue shirts. We've done a lot of the Vipers. Let's get some more. Let's go back to some more blue shirts. Besides the Valkyries, they did some Valkyries not too terribly long ago that you could pre-order. And then the other one was Grunt. Now, Grunt to me was always the troop builder. Grunt was just a green shirt. Grunt was just, he was just the Grunt. He played no special role in my sandbox toy box play when it came to GI Joe. He was just the schlep. And they did the green shirt kind of thing. I guess I hear in the grapevine that Hasbro will do green shirts, just the generic green shirts. So I don't know. Maybe he's the leader of the green shirts. But also tapping back, they did announcement of Steel. Now I got to get this right. It used to be Steel Brigade, but now another company has the Steel Brigade copyrighted. Action Force has Steel Brigade copyrighted, so it's a Steel Force now. I think it's either one way or the other. If I'm wrong, flip-flop it. If I'm right, yay me. So they announced that the Steel, I'm pretty sure it's Steel Force. They announced that team, that sub team, where they're kind of more generic. They're kind of like the green shirts, but they don't wear green shirts. They wear blue shirts and khakis. Where they have the jetpacks, they have the masks, they have the helmets. I don't really think you get to see their faces. But this Grunt figure actually comes with a Steel Force, Steel Brigade helmet that you can actually swap on, and he's a part of that sub team. So it's kind of interesting. I think that they're hedging their bets where you just buy a lot of Grunts where you just put the Steel Brigade helmet on. However, Grunt has his name on. He has a nameplate on him, so I don't know. I don't understand how that works. Again, it's something that we're about to talk about next. It leans into that same kind of idea. I don't know. I mean, I guess like Hasbro, rather you buy a bunch of Grunts and treat them as troopers versus actually releasing troopers that may not sell and just sit on the pegs and rot like the Snake Eyes movie figures that are still rotting on my pegs here locally, and they never price drop whatsoever. They don't go to clearance whatsoever. They don't do anything to get rid of them. They just sit there and rot, and they're plastics. They'll never rot. They'll just sit there and never rot. I'll be in for a Grunt. That's fine. The completionist in me wants the Grunt. I don't really care to troop build as far as, again, I'm hoping for green shirts, so I'm not really, that's great that he has the extra helmet, and it's great that, he fits with the Steel Force and or Brigade. Same with the Crimson. I might troop build a little bit with him, at least go two. I mean, I don't want to go too whole hog on this, because I know, if they're hard to find, I'd rather somebody else who really truly wants them get one, than instead of just, me getting a bunch of extra crap. I'm looking forward to that. So we're gonna detour a little bit before I get to the HasLab, which was this past week's big deal. But I want to talk about Renegade Game Studios, which is a game company. I always consider them kind of small, but I don't know if I honestly don't know the size of them. But they do a lot of licensing through Hasbro, and they have G.I. Joe, they have Transformers, they have My Little Pony, and they have Power Rangers, and they do quite a few games that actually crossover or have crossover potential. I have G.I. Joe Mission Critical, which allows you to cross over the Power Rangers if you'd like. It has that kind of open play to it. So Renegade Studios they had like their summer convention today, and I was kind of looking forward to it. I was like, oh, well, maybe The last announcements that they did, I was hoping for that. Sergeant Slaughter just recently came out, so maybe they released Sergeant Slaughter for Mission Critical. They released a version of Sergeant Slaughter for the role playing game, but they didn't release Sergeant Slaughter in the card game, which is the thing that I play. That's the thing that I like to play. And I was like, oh, hopefully maybe now they'll make this Sergeant Slaughter announcement, understanding that I guess it's like a limited deal because like the his appearance, like his set that's for Mission Critical is just limited, and when it sells out, it sells out. And I think his set for the role playing game is limited. Once it sells out, it sells out. That's it. So I think that has to do with like with Hasbro's licensing between them and Sergeant Slaughter himself. But still nothing. I was hoping that they would announce another deck, or at least a one-off of Sergeant Slaughter, and maybe something that ties into the movie a little bit. Nothing. No. They just as far as Hasbro news, as far as GI Joe news, they expanded on the RPG, which basically that was like everything got an RPG. New source books. So it's like the Cobra Codex is the source books for the RPG. Unfortunately, I'm not. I think my Dungeons and Dragons days are pretty much behind me. But if you're into role playing games and you're into like the GI, if you want to try out the GI Joe, Renegade Games has the GI Joe. They have the Transformers. They have the My Little Pony. No, I don't think My Little Pony is a RPG, but they do have Power Rangers, and I think there's rule books on how to like combine them. So if you want that all in one massive universe, you can. But the news that I was waiting for was the cards. That was the only other thing, and it's just it was just an update on the one deck. It was for the Raise the Flag expansion for the card playing for the card game. I already had that on pre-order from the last time they announced it, but now they had like product shots, and this comes with an actual like USS flag that you can actually build, and it has like little sky strikers that you can put on the deck and everything. I'm kind of a mixed feeling when it comes to that. I know like I pre-ordered a lot of this stuff so that I could get like the extras that they throw in, the extra goodies that they ship to you, and I don't really build any of them because I'm afraid of the wear and tear on the cardboard. But like the flag and the sky strikers are like a key part of this play, and it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't want to like. This is something I'm going to have to put together and take apart like constantly, and I don't want to wear and tear, like a lot of wear and tear on this stuff. The guy said that it's well made. I guess it's made for that kind of stuff, but we'll see when the time comes around to see. One of the rules that I am kind of interested in is it's called the campaign mode, which is basically like I guess how you play the game. You get. The game evolves based on how you play and what decisions you make, and if you succeed in your missions, if you fail at your missions, they will come back and bite you in the ass. Or it might help you. I find that a little bit intriguing. I'm kind of excited about it. It's unfortunately probably going to be another deck on the board. That's the downside to the G.I. Joe card game, is that every expansion just adds another deck to the table. So you have to have a huge table if you're going to play this game. But like I said, I've already pre-ordered this like months ago. So this was nothing really new. They didn't really add much to it. The final thing, and the thing that you guys have been waiting for, and you probably just skipped right to, is of course the HasLab, the Operation Dragonfly. It needed 10,000 backers to be fully funded. It got that within like 2 days. It took like no time whatsoever. This thing is awesome. It looks really great. I did back the Hiss last year. This is a guilty pleasure, guilty by. This is a reward for a job well done, I guess. I don't know. They did the Dragonfly, which is of course a copter. It comes with the Wild Bill, the pilot, which I am super stoked to see Wild Bill. As of now, the only unlock that they've announced is of course Ripcord. As of now, we're like only, let's see here. As of right this second, as of this recording, we are about let's see here, 900 backers away from getting Ripcord. I'd love to see what the other two tiers are. I mean, to me, like, so I'm kind of back and forth when it comes to crowdfunding from a corporation doing this. I mean, well, granted, it's a corporation within, they're not going to Kickstarter to do this, but that's a tough grab. And it's kind of shitty where it's like, well, this is the price tag's already figured in for this and all the bonus figures. Just include this and all the bonus figures. Why we keep dragging it out by another like 3,000 backers per tier? But it is being what it is, and it's just one of the things where I feel like kind of like I kind of backed this no questions asked. I was like the 37th backer, like I was in there right away, and it's just kind of weird where it's like I feel like I'm already buying this and all three tiers. All those that was already all taken into consideration. And it's just kind of like a rip off where it's like, well, only if we get to this where we make these. I don't know. And then seeing a lot of the stuff, Ripcord is just a rehash, or he's reusing a lot of parts from Wild Bill, and it's like, I don't expect a whole heck of a lot. I mean, hell, the his tank we got. I want to say 3 drivers, even though one was a bonus. So technically we got 2 drivers. Well, I mean, one driver was female, though. I guess you could say that. The other driver was just a repaint based off of our votes. But, yeah, I mean, for what it's cost is, I don't want to get into the whole, oh, this sucks because corporations are greedy and bad. I'll save that for another podcast. But from everything that I was seeing, I've been watching a lot of hints of what other people are speculating are the other two characters are, and and just looking at Wild Bill and looking at Ripcord, they're reusing a lot of the parts. So I kind of see that maybe the other two are going to utilize the same. They're going to be a part of the same design. I'm not completely against it. It's a theme. I mean, it's a pilot theme. A lot of people were upset. I saw a lot of shitty comments about Ripcord and why should we get a Ripcord? Oh, not just a Ripcord, a Night Force Ripcord. I knew that. I did say that I was going to come back to Night Force. The Walmart exclusive is a part of the HasLab, but then again, Retro Cobra Commander from last year's HasLab was a part of the retro carded line from Walmart last year as well. So there's that. Take that as whatever you want to take that as. As I was saying, when people were being a little bit shitty towards Ripcord, like he's a Halo jumper, he's a paratrooper, not really something that you do from a helicopter. But I kind of think that he's still on theme with what that is. It's an air. The G.I. Joes are land, sea, and air. G.I. Joe. He's a part of that universe, and I don't think you would get him any other way. I mean, you're probably going to get him in a box form without, the non-Night Force versions coming down the line. But I get it where it's like you're probably not going to get him in any other form. So he kind of fits. He fits. That's fine. The other possibilities was like Lift Ticket, because Lift Ticket's is in the original art on the box. A lot of speculation that the last one is Rip Ticket. Or Lift Ticket rather. I was hoping that this would be fully funded by the end of it, or at least halfway funded, so I could. I'd be breaking news, but I think by the time this episode drops, the second tier will be revealed. But yeah, again, if it is Lift Ticket, again, it would utilize the same. Clothing design that Wild Bill and Ripcord are using, and I wouldn't be surprised that the third one would utilize the same or is General Hawk. Or at least an alternate paint of General Hawk. I kind of feel like, it's Cobra Commander was a part of the other one, that General Hawk would be a part of this one. Again, granted that General Hawk was announced as being a character coming out in the main line, but that doesn't mean that he can't come out in the main line anyway. We've got 24 different Cobra Commanders that came out before the retro carded Cobra Commanders. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it'd probably be a retro carded, probably on theme retro carded Hawk. There's my guess for the third tier. So I mean, that's what I have to say about that. I kind of rambled on. I see that a lot of you guys kind of tune in when it comes to talking about these figures. I hope that I satiate that need to know, because knowing is half the battle. And I will catch you next time.